now call this meeting to order. If you would like, please stand with us as Mr. Reed does the prayer and Mr. Butler does the pledge to the flag.
First of all, our Father's holy call once again, giving everybody's all glory and the praise for us, chance to sin, for every fall days of our being into this meeting, possibility of serving according to the rules and regulation of the state of Florida or any form of the United States of America. These are all over this occasion and all the time, Jesus' name.
Please face the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I have a change that I would like to make to the agenda. We'll move number 8 to number 1, and the rest will just shuffle down. Is there anyone else who would like to be added to the agenda? Ms. Biddle?
Just a recap on restart time.
Okay, we'll put you on as number 10. If those are the only modifications, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Offer motion that we approve the agenda.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, everyone's got the minutes for the council workshop of March the 8th and the regular council meeting of March the 13th. Do I have a motion to approve these minutes?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item number 1, approval of impact fee waiver request. Mr. Minor, please explain.
Yes, sir. We had Habitat Community would like to request a fee waiver on the impact fees. The location has changed, as Carmen is here to explain. The original location was on Morris Avenue, and I think due to some stormwater issues, they would like to change that location.
Yes, sir. We would like to change the location to a lot on First Street.
Okay, and we're strictly talking about the impact fees, correct?
That's right, yes, sir. The tap fees would be the same. I'm familiar with a lot on First Street that they're talking about, so we do have utilities in that area.
What's the address or proximity of it?
It is the lot that sits directly in between 734 and 728 First Street. It's parcel number 1697. It's at E911 now for an address.
And that is the house that's next to the Habitat house you just recently built last year.
Okay, any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
Mayor, I don't have a question, but I do need to abstain from voting because I do serve on the Habitat Board, Chipley Area Habitat Board, so I just need that reflected in the minutes.
We need to get Ms. Ted.
I will, but I just needed the record to reflect that.
All right. Again, do I have a motion to approve?
I shall move with approval of that fee.
All in favor? Opposed?
Thank you all very much for your consideration.
All right, item number 2. FDEO CDBG project, first public hearing. We have Mr. David Cox who will be here to explain. I will now close this regular meeting and open the public hearing. Mr. Fox?
Thank you very much. I'm David Fox with Fred Fox Enterprises. I've got handed out a handout with presentation and everything.
So we get one?
It's in our pack.
as on top of the city of Chipley, FY 2017 CDG grant.
Yes, I remember one.
Yeah, I remember.
There's an addendum on this.
This is a first public hearing that was set by the mayor for a 2017 John Block grant application. Page 2 of the handout. City of Chipley is eligible to apply for up to $700,000 in green belt block grant funds. There are 4 categories. The first 3 categories are housing rehabilitation, where you go into unoccupied low and moderate income households, and you can bring up the code and include replacement if needed based on the condition. You address a home under a redevelopment block grant, you have to address all code violations, health and safety issues, and Section 8 housing standards. So it's feasible, if it's not feasible to repair it, you can actually replace it. Under that category, you don't apply for clients up front if you decide to apply for a housing grant. Once funded, you would actually advertise for clients at that time. The second possible category is commercial revitalization. That's where you go into a downtown area. The city must be at least 51% low to moderate income. And you can do streetscape, building facades, and underground utilities, those kind of things to beautify your downtown area. The third category is neighborhood revitalization. That is your infrastructure project. Once again, people benefiting must be low to moderate, at least 51% low to moderate income. You can do water lines, sewer lines, drainage, water plant improvements, sewer plant improvements, lift stations. All those items fall under your neighborhood revitalization, all your infrastructure. Under categories 1, 2, and 3, you can only apply for one. If funded, you can't reapply for one of those 3 categories until you complete the previous project. Category 4 is economic development. That category you can actually apply to 1.5 million instead of the 700,000 requirement of the other 3. You can apply for that up to once a year, even if you have one of the other 3 grants, as long as they're current. And for every job you create, you can apply for up to $34,199. Those are the 4 categories under CDBG. Any questions on those?
Back on the first 3, is there a breakdown if you apply for a $700,000 grant and it gets approved? Is there a certain percentage that goes to each one of them?
You would only apply for one. You can only apply for one of those 3.
Okay. So if you applied and got approved for $700,000 and you decided to put it towards housing rehabilitation, then it would all go to that.
Yes, sir.
And you don't advertise for candidates for that, those grants until after you've been approved?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So
Does that go for 2 and 3 as well?
2 and 3, you determine your service area or who the benefits are going to be, like if you're going to do line replacement. It'd be everybody that was on the street and had lines getting replaced. If you're going to do paving, it'd be the same thing. We'd actually have to survey before the submittal of the application to verify that everybody, or at least 50% of that street was on the that's the threshold.
Okay.
So under neighborhood and commercial, you do the surveys up front before you apply. Under housing, you're going to say you're going to all be 80% or below income, and you advertise unless you pick your clients by the ranking. You would then make sure they have that criteria. Any other question on page 2? Talking about low and moderate income on page 3. This is defined by HUD based on census data. They provide us low and moderate income levels. The median income for Washington County is $48,400. So for a family of 4, for instance, to be low to moderate income, combined yearly income must be under $38,700. Family of up to 8 is $51,100. A family of 1 is $27,000. In addition, you get points if you got at least 30% of your beneficiary, or if your beneficiary is very low income, just 30% of the median. There's also a point scale for at least 51 or 40% being below 50%. The threshold of 51% must be under 80% of the median, and then you get additional points based on the percentage that are below 30%. Any questions on that? Page number 4. Under the CDBG Small Cities Application for Development, there's no requirement that you put in leverage, but you are competing against other small cities across Florida and counties. For every $2,000 you put into the project, you get 1 extra point, a bonus point, and then if you can go up to 50,000 or 25 points max. Like I said, there's no crack requirement for that, but you are competing with the grants as long as you're going to school.
And this is money that the city puts in towards it?
Yes, sir, you would obligate those funds prior to doing the application. If not funded, once again, you wouldn't have to spend those funds, but if the grant was funded, you would have to do that within a 2-year period of the construction of the project. Neighborhood revitalization and commercialization projects, you get points for being shovel ready. If you do plan to inspect prior to submittal the application, plan to inspect ready for bid, and you apply for the permits, you can get 100 points for being shovel ready. That's the way it's set up right now. We're hearing that they're going to change that to 50 points, 100, but you still got to be shovel ready to get those 50 points. Also, it's not posted on here, but you get 100 points for not having a grant for 5 years. And I believe in June, the city hits that threshold, so you'll get an additional 100 points other communities don't have, because you haven't had to open CDBG grant in the last 5 years as of June. If you decide to go shovel ready and get the 100 points, like I said, maybe down to 50, you're doing that at risk. Even if funded, you won't get those funds back. So you're looking at doing design, and that's a risk you're going to take. You're doing it to get the points, and if funded, even if funded, you don't get this. It's not reimbursable expense. Any questions on that slide?
Oh, let me back up
Yes, sir.
here. When you were talking about us having to put in matching funds, would the CRA funds qualify as that, or would we need to stay out of it? Keep from combining the two?
Yeah, it'd be based on the project. Right now, we have a set of projects, we're going through the phases. At that point, like, there's no requirement from that, it's additional points that you get. But once you go through the process tonight of a public hearing, and you get input and you decide if you want to move forward, at that point, you can decide if you want to do a match or not. You know, what kind of project direction you're looking at doing. Does that answer your question?
Good.
Are you asking
Well,
whether CRA funds will help or what?
One thing I would say is, in order to use CRA funds, it would have to be eligible to use CRA funds. And
Well,
so-
my concern is because even in some of the housing up in Ward 2, some of the streets really need some help. And if there was a matching fund required, would we be able to utilize the CRA as the matching fund?
I don't really know. I don't know why not, but that's something Ted would have to check on to make sure that's eligible.
If the project is eligible for CRA funds, you would just have to do a resolution prior to submittal that you're going to obligate those funds for the project and the amount. So you couldn't utilize CRA funds for if it met the criteria of whatever project you decide to do.
Right. Okay. Really, it sounds like we'll have to clear it through to Mr. Everett.
Well, it's possible.
See how that,
They said it made the difference between being out of the city for competitive bid. It might be a good use of funds.
Are they sitting
For a few dollars to get
That-
a bigger check in the end.
Yeah, keep in mind, we're eligible for 100 points this cycle without doing, typically what we do is pay for engineering up front, so we do have a shovel-ready project, but that's the city putting out $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 ahead of this. So if we have the funds, we do that, but we haven't here like that stuff.
well, you know how things will run through the mind.
Sure.
I was thinking of funding opportunity.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
All right, on page 4. Page 5, your steps required when applying for the community development block grant. The first step is appoint a citizen advisory task force that you completed. The advertising for the citizen advisory task force meeting, which was done today at 5:30. The advertising was held. Advertising on the first public hearing for home right now. And advertising on the fair housing workshop will be later this evening. And then once you determine the project, we've got all the data required to put the application together, we'll hold a second public hearing to finalize the project before it's submitted to the Department of Economic. We have not heard the exact date yet. We're hearing that they're going to be due either July or August. The first 3 categories, once they set that date, that's the deadline. We don't have another date to get submitted. Any questions on slide 5? And 6, let's open up for public comment.
Do we have any comments from the audience concerning what Mr. Fox has gone over?
I'd just like to ask if there's a possibility of habitat for humanity.
If you would state your name, please, sir.
Sorry, David Rivian. I was wondering if Habitat for Humanity could partner with the city on something.
This program, the grant, the housing you address is owner occupied, so it's already, it has to be in the house in most of the cases. So it really wouldn't, Habitat, I believe they don't own, they're not, it's a new construction, so it would not qualify.
What about replacement housing?
If, once again, if it was owner occupied, then we can do demo replacement, but it has to be a house that they're existing living in when they apply for the application, or when they apply to get their house. In most cases, Habitat, they don't own existing homes. Or wait, my understanding, I might be wrong. Is that correct?
For the most part, it is, but if there's a situation of extreme blight or extreme poor conditions of a house, we have partnered through grant funds before. After the housing crisis, we were awarded some state funds that allowed us to go in and do replacement housing under grant.
So it may be a possibility. The city would still have to follow the procurement criteria for a CBG grant, and it had to be advertised and bid out, awards a little bit, and I guess we never work with Habitat part of it. So it may be a possibility.
I think you have another question over here tonight.
Just state your name, please.
Mike Carrico, is there a time limit to repay the grant? And is there a percentage or penalty if not paid on back on time?
It's all grant funds, there's no repayment. It's
Okay.
100% grant funds.
Then this has nothing to do with TIF then?
No,
Okay.
these are HUD dollars.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
How much per
State your name
house,
first, I'm sorry.
Deborah Brown, how much per household, what's the maximum allowance per individual household?
For a housing program?
For private citizens?
What it would work is, if you base on the repairs needed, if they just need a few code violations, electrical, plumbing, AC, then it's gonna be based on the low bid.
So you would assess the,
The house, we actually, what they'll do is if they apply for housing, they would advertise, once, if we're awarded the grant, they would advertise in the paper for clients, and they have a ranking criteria in their housing plan. Basically, what it's, most cases is the elderly, handicapped get first, and then large family, and they almost be the income criteria, but it's based on usually the occupants. And then, if it's been a situation where they replace the house, it'll be a little bit, usually they can get up to 75,000, once you carry on the house a little on the lot. But the grant must address all code violations, health and safety, handicap accessibility, so if they're in a wheelchair or something, they could put in a handicap bathroom and ramp and those kind of things. Any other questions, public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Carmen Smith. I just wondered what was the relationship, if any, between CDBG and CHIP?
Well, sometimes SHIP will put in money to get that leverage point. They can put in the 25,000 and they'll do some assistance on the house, but there's no requirement that SHIP and CDBG go hand in hand. CDBG can do a house all by itself and address it. The only difference is SHIP can go in there and address one or two things, where CDBG is address all code violations and health and safety issues. We can't go in there and just fix an AC and walk away or a door. We have to do everything that's going to add in the house.
Right, so what you're saying is
I'm sorry,
like,
can you say your name?
Brenda Gainer.
Okay.
So what you're saying is like, they don't give you a limit as to how much they can spend. If it's a need more than what,
What we would do is, once you have been qualified and picked by the rank, then I would come out, whoever they hire at the time would come out and inspect the home and do a full write-up on what needed to be bid out and where it needed to be done. We turn a house-on-house basis.
so you're telling me there's no cap?
There's no cap, but if it costs more than 50% of the value of the house to repair it, they're gonna replace it. It's gotta be feasible to repair.
But if they qualify, you will replace the house?
They can, yes, ma'am. If the funds are available, yes.
Okay.
Versus however you are ranked, if you're like the last house, and there's only 30,000 left, and we're gonna do a house that only needs 30,000 repair.
Okay.
But And the new
So
house
one house
is based on the people in the house, it's not the old house. So if you have a big old house, new house may be a one or a two bedroom based on two occupants living in the existing house, not the size of the old house. Yes, sir.
Deborah Brown again, is there any way possible to angle that podium so that when you're talking, the voice is coming out this way?
So I can turn the view.
Yeah,
So that
you might can raise that mic a little bit, David.
I don't know if it
Is that better? You hear me?
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
Okay, Mr. Fox, do you have anything else?
If you'd like, there's a number of public comments, you can close this public hearing if you'd like to keep proceeding.
All right.
Item D, when you're good.
I now close this public hearing and reopen the regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
The next item is staff recommendations on project activity. I don't know if you have a copy.
Let me see.
It's the first page of the album.
Okay. Mr. Myers, do you have the staff recommendations?
Yes, what we were looking at was neighborhood revitalization, replacing some water lines, doing paving and associated type work in various areas is what we were looking at. Most of which those lines are in the areas that we think would qualify. They would have to survey the areas, of course, but that would be my recommendation.
We met with the supervisor task force this evening also, and they recommended to the council that you look at applying for it in the neighborhood category, which is water lines and infrastructure project. That was their recommendation.
Which is item number 3, right?
That is correct.
Yes, sir.
Really and truly, that section, and the committee felt this way too, that section kind of benefits the most people
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like.
with the funds. Yeah.
Okay. Do I have a motion to have the CDBG grant prepared, application prepared?
I make the motion.
Yeah.
Let's see, finalize the application for the CDBG application process.
Yeah, well, this is what you would do, is at this point, would we recommend if you want a category, if you want to do a neighborhood category, just look at applying. And then we'll actually finalize it at the second vote.
Okay.
I have a question. Is this going to be confined by the other? Or just?
No, multiple areas.
Multiple areas that qualify.
They must be in the city limits, and they must be at least 1% low monitoring, so.
And there again, we have many streets that need either paving or new water lines or such, but until we do the actual survey, you really can't specify that it's this street, or this street, because we don't really know until the survey's done.
So we can finalize the application portion of it now, but before July or August or whatever the deadline date is, we have to do the surveys and we have to nail it down to specifically what it is we're shooting for.
Yes, sir. You can set a category now, and then the final project will be approved for that.
And that's what we're doing now, is we're focusing on category number 3, neighborhood revitalization. We're approving, finalizing the application for that, and then in the next couple of months, we're going to be drilling it down to specific projects that qualify.
We'll present the proposed service areas at that time.
Okay, I just want to make sure
Yes, sir.
I understood what my head was telling me.
I believe I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, Mr. Fox, if you would continue with the fair housing workshop?
Once again, I'm David Fox with Red Fox Enterprises. Here's a sign-in sheet, actually two going around, one clipboard. Everybody will sign both sheets. That shows record that we held these meetings. You do get points in your application for holding the fair housing workshop, and you receive a requirement in how the work hearing is a threshold requirement. There's a handout that was provided.
Yours is colorful. No.
There's some color ones around here too, yeah, both, so. And this is a fair housing workshop. I'll be open for questions at the end. Page 2. The Fair Housing Act was passed in 1968 and was updated in 1988 and 1995. It covers group discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, national origin, sex, familial status, and disability. Page 3. Under the Fair Housing Act, it prohibits discrimination and intimidation of people in their homes, apartments, and condominium developments. The individual household owners that are renting out one room or less than 3 units do not fall under the Fair Housing law. So everybody above that, if you've got 3 or more units, then they would fall under this Fair Housing requirement. So all apartment complexes and all sales by brokers. What housing is exempt? The act exempts unoccupied buildings with no more than 4 units. Senior housing is exemption. Some communities are 55 and over. They're exempt from this. They have to get approval from HUD to be that, but they are exempt on the age discrimination, information status. Filed under any state and federal program that HUD has determined to be specifically designed and operated to assist elderly people. And it's allowed to file a person 55 or 62 and over. Page 5. What is prohibited? What is it covered?
Can you explain that?
Okay.
Intended for solely occupied by persons 55 or 62, is it just those 2 ages, or?
Those are the only 2 items that you can discriminate, but you can't specify that you're a 55 and older community or 62 and older community.
Okay.
Those are the only times.
I got you. I thought we were nailing it down to those 2 specific ages,
No.
only 55-year-olds and 62-year-olds. All right, I understand.
No one may take any of the following actions based on race, color, religion, sex, disability, religious status, or national origin. You can't refuse to rent or sell housing to somebody based on one of the categories. You can't refuse to negotiate for housing. You can't set different terms. Basically, if you have somebody that's handicapped, you can't not allow a service animal. You gotta allow a service animal. And if they need special upgrades to the apartment, let's say they need to put a ramp in for an apartment, you don't have to pay for it, but you gotta allow them to do it. You can't increase their deposit based on that. You can't increase the deposit based on them being in a wheelchair and being damaged walls, or that they've got a service animal. The deposit has to be the same across the board. You can, however, require that if they put in upgrades for handicap accessibility, that they remove them and bring back the original structure as when they complete. You can't set different terms, conditions, or privileges for sale or rental of the dwelling. You can't falsely deny the housing available for inspection, sale, or rental. You can't properly persuade or try to persuade homeowners to sell or rent dwelling by suggesting people of particular race, age, sex, etc. have moved or about to move into a neighborhood. And you can't deny any person access to membership or participating in an organization, facility, or service. So you could deny somebody being in an HOA based on the category. Homeowner association. Next page. Housing protection for families with children. It is unlawful to discriminate against a person whose household includes 1 or more children who are under 18 and 8 years of age that fall under familial status. There's 1 or more minor children who live with a parent in legal custody. Once again, the 55 and 62 over communities are exempt. They can't discriminate or not allow children into those communities. Page 7, additional protection if you have a disability. If you have a physical or mental disability, including hearing, mobility, or visual impairment, cancer, chronic mental illness, or HIV, that suggests within one or more major life activities, or regardless of having such a disability, the housing provider may not refuse to let you make reasonable modifications. That's where I was talking about the ramp and answers for things for accessibility. Landlord may permit changes only if you agree to restore the property to its original condition when you move. Example, a building with no pets policy must allow a visually impaired tenant to keep a guide dog. However, the Fair Housing Act does not protect the person who is direct threat to the health and safety of others or is currently using a legal building. So they are not covered under the Fair Housing Act. Page 7. If you feel like your rights have been violated, there's a process you go through to get complaints. And what you do is you'll notify HUD in writing. You need to include your name and address, name and address of the person you have a complaint against, the address or other identification of the housing involved. If it's an apartment complex, include the name of the apartment complex, or if it's a realtor. A short description of alleged violation, just break it out in a couple of paragraphs on what happened, the date of the alleged violation, and in many cases you need to do it promptly because there's some of the resolutions or the ordinances have a limited time, like 45 days or 60 days to file a complaint. So if you feel like discriminate against, you make sure you're in the time frame that's required to go forward. Page 9. If you want to file a complaint on the federal level, the HUD office for this area is out of Atlanta. It's the Atlanta Regional Office. It's just from Housing and Urban Development, 5 Points Plaza, 40 Marietta Street, Atlanta, Georgia, on the 16th floor. And then you can also do it by, you can contact by telephone. You still have to put it in writing. After you contact by phone, or you even have a website. You can go to HUD.gov/fair housing. You can file a complaint to their website and actually walk you through it. When you file a complaint, there are steps that are taken. They notify the person that you file the complaint against of the violation. They'll investigate it. It has their own investigative department just for housing discrimination. And once they complete the investigation, they have 100 days to provide they notify you in writing they want to extend it to come back with a response. During the complaint investigation, the HUD is required to offer you and the respondent the opportunity to voluntarily resolve your complaint with a conciliation agreement. The HUD federal regulation also is similar to the Florida requirements. If you don't want to go through the federal, you can also go through the state of Florida with a complaint. It's the Florida Commission on Human Relations, and also they have a phone number there. You can call them toll free. Once again, they have a website. Process through. So it's going to be the same criteria. You need to make sure you got the name, the address, the date. That's all I have. Any questions on fair housing?
I do, Deborah Brown. The 55 to 62 years of age or older, did you explain, did you say that they were exempt? Explain it to me.
Okay, some communities, after you prove can do usually it's an apartment complex, and they're a 55 and older community or a 62 and older community, and all residents must be over that age. It's not between 55 and 62, it's either 55 older, 62 or older, based on the community. And then the only discrimination that they really have, they don't have to allow people under the age, or families with children. They're not required to meet that criteria. Where every other housing provider has to meet that criteria, or they fall under one of the categories of discrimination.
So did you say also that that rules changed if a person between 55 or 62 had children under the age of 18?
In most of your, they are not under everybody else. They don't fall under that 55 or older community. Or 60. They have to allow you to have children if your household changes. But if you're in the old 62 or over, they do not have to allow you to have children. So they call this called familiar status. They can't discriminate against you based on your family size unless you have only time that maybe some of the HUD housing has a limit how many people can be in one bedroom. So they may have to work with you to get you a larger unit. They can't discriminate on you if you all already live there. When you sign as part of your lease agreement. Any questions? Thank you very much.
All right, if we have no other questions of Mr. Fox, let me ask everyone, if you haven't signed the attendance sheets that has going around, would you please do so before you leave?
Thank you very much.
Okay, item number 4. I now close the regular meeting and open the public hearing. The purpose of this public meeting is to accept input from all interested parties relative to the city's proposal to adopt ordinance number 950. This ordinance will amend Chapter 19, Utilities. We ask that all citizens desiring to speak on this matter identify themselves by name and address. All public comments will be incorporated into the official minutes of this meeting. For the record, I now ask the city administrator to read the ordinance number 950 by title and to state for the record the legal notice data which was provided to the public concerning this matter.
Yes, sir, Mayor and Council. Ordinance number 950, an ordinance of the City of Chipley, Florida, providing for authority, providing for amendment to Chapter 19 entitled Utilities, and declaring an effective date. Official notice to advise the public of the proposed adoption of ordinance number 950 was published in the Washington County News on March 28, 2018, and the act complied with the legal requirements of the city code and the Florida statutes.
Are there any comments, oral or written, from those in attendance tonight relative to the proposed ordinance? Are there any comments or questions by members of the council?
This was just basically housekeeping, cleaning up the language,
Yes.
getting in line with the other regulations.
Yes, sir.
If there are no further comments regarding this matter, I now declare the public hearing for this matter closed and reopen the regular meeting. Do I have a motion to approve ordinance number 950, the second reading? All in favor? That's correct. Do I have a motion?
I think we're going to report it now.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approval of resolution number 18-11, the budget amendment. Mr. Mine?
Yes, sir, if you don't mind, I'll ask Patty to address that with the council.
The resolution number 18-11 is an increase in the annual fiscal year 17-18 budget in the amount of $169,970. And I know we reviewed it on Thursday night. If the council has specific questions, we would like to review it.
I don't have any questions. You covered it pretty good. That's right.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Also motion that we approve resolution 18-1 for the budget amendment.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Approval to terminate the option to purchase real property. Parcel numbers. Mr. Mine?
Yes, sir, this was an option that we entered in to purchase the 3 parcels that you're looking at. What we need tonight is approval from the council to terminate that option to purchase on the 3 parcels.
I have a question. We didn't discuss anything in reference to it, but I did have a question, just reading over that.
Okay.
So will the city have to honor the $40,000 binder to to the landowner.
And I'll defer to the attorney on that.
That's the decision for the council to make.
Well, the way I read this, it says which sum shall be refundable to the auctionee or be the auctionee.
We have the right to exercise the option, yes, but that money's been held 2.5 years. It gets in our trust account.
So is this something separate outside of terminating? Is it something that we're gonna have to come and have to deal with at a later date? Or
I think
or
the
is it something
decision,
that we're just gonna do?
If you terminate, you're releasing that option. So you're releasing that binder, basically. The only way not to release it would be go in and do the testing and things like that. And that's just an additional expense that we really don't need to do. Because we need to move forward with other properties.
Ms. Morris, you had a comment?
I need clarification. There's 2 parcels listed, and this reminder says 3 parcels. Can I get clarification on that?
And that's my bad. It is 2 parcels. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just to recap, so my understanding is if we vote to terminate this, we're forfeiting the $40,000 binder.
you have to make that decision.
Separately or as part of this approval?
That's, again, that's a decision within your discretion. I would prefer to see it handled all together, but I just don't want the issue of what happens to the binder to be left.
Well, what's the downside of us not forfeiting? Or what's the upside of not forfeiting it versus the downside of forfeiting,
Well,
other than the money?
the upside is that Dr. Gray would accept this $40,000 as a release of any claims that he might have against the city for not pursuing the property under this agreement. And so, in a way, you know how bad it might be as far as this agreement with this property. That's $40,000.
So that's sort of like buys us insurance that we won't be
Well, it
pursued.
kind of covers the 2.5 years that we took it off the market.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't really know what it would cost us. I personally don't think the property would meet the standards we need for use.
It probably would not, but it would meet those minimum standards. If the other properties did, I would say this property would too. Now, the question is, does that benefit the city? And it doesn't. I mean, it's obvious that we need to see property that is going to be conducive to reclaimed water. And really, you're not going to find that in Chipley or around Chipley.
So the bottom line is, I'm at $4,000, and I'm just nothing but.
But that's compensation for the gentleman holding it off the market for 2.5 years.
I understand that.
It-
It's not a problem with that. But the bottom line, you laid out exactly what's
I
going on.
agree.
Exactly, that's why I posed the question.
Yep. And that's correct. Yes, sir.
Whatever's in the agreement, that's what we got to stand on.
Yes, sir.
What, 40,000, 100,000? That's already here, but.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm clear.
Do I have a motion to terminate the option to purchase real property?
I make a motion that we terminate the option to purchase real property and, I guess, forfeit the binder.
If that's your decision.
Well, that's one off the board. They need to be
Whatever
compensated.
the
Taking it off.
consequences are, we have to face.
Exactly. I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And I'll prepare a release for the property owner and the city to execute prior to actually releasing the funds.
Approval of special event application, the Panhandle Watermelon Festival.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry. Mayor and Council, this is the annual Panhandle Watermelon Festival. That is on the 23rd and the 24th, and there is a correction to the time. That parade actually starts at 10 a.m., so.
So it's gonna be longer than 9 minutes, okay?
Yes, sir. So, just need approval on that so we can get that back to the watermelon committee.
Offer motion that we approve the special event application for planning
With the time.
with the time correction, June 23rd.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Approval of West Point home rental fee reduction request.
Yes, sir. Mr. Steve Alford, who is the plant manager out at West Point Home here in Chipley, has requested a 20% reduction in the annual, or in the monthly rental that they pay to the city. That would bring the total to approximately $8,200, what was the figure back? 66 per month.
One question that I came up with after our workshop, will this affect the payment that the city has on the bill?
As far as paying DEO, you're talking about?
Right.
No, we pay them 46, 49%. Yeah, and the way that grant works, if we're not renting the building, we don't pay anything. If we are, we pay that percentage from now on. There's no end to it. So it's still a good deal for the city because we end up we do make a little bit of money off of that and put it in economic development. And it's all about jobs, so. Yeah.
Well, and it provides the commercial facilities for either West Point or another.
That's right.
How many people employed out there?
You know, I asked Steve that, and he did not give me a good number on that. The way they utilize the warehouse, there may be 5 people over there, there may be 25 over there on any given day. It really kind of depends on what their flow of work is during the week, so.
I think it's important to keep the facility here and the job here.
Yes. Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve the reduction in the rental fee for West Point Home?
Question,
You have a question?
is that reduction permanent?
It would be until the contract ends, and typically we do either a 3 or a 5 year, depending on what we're going to do. Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the West Point reduction request.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item number 9, alcohol ordinance discussion. Have we begun the ordinance?
I just gave a list of things. That's basically what we talked about Thursday night was
Just giving her a list.
give a list of our ideas and what we'd like to see, and then you basically compile those all together and come back with something, and we discuss it further once we got some ideas down on paper.
That's right. I got one.
So that's what I did. I gave Michelle my list for a while ago.
Okay. Are there any additional comments from the audience?
Well, what was your ideas that you gave her?
I really wasn't any nailed down ideas. I just said there was, I'd like to lodge three with what I, basically, it was just thoughts. It's nothing concrete. And it's just for us to discuss the method of measuring and the distance from churches, schools, and public parks, the same measuring for dwelling of the residents. Similar establishments, it's written in the ordinance that apparently the way I understand the similar establishments pertains to bottle clubs and private clubs,
Right.
not to other restaurants and stuff. And to entertain thought and have a discussion about excluding restaurants from some of these provisions that they've got as far as distances. That's just what my ideas were going back at it.
And that was basically what was given in the county's orders. But explain.
Some other than the way they measure.
Like you said,
things,
some
like
that
walk
was
around the
everything.
block. I'm more or less was looking at 1,000-foot radius, like from the front door of a building to the front door of another building instead of from the front door and walking down and around the block. And keeping in place the thing, because some of the distances, I guess it's the schools is the only thing that's addressed by the state, right? And that's 500 feet. I'm not sure how the state, how they measure that, if it's property line to property line or door to door. I didn't have a copy of the state ordinance to look at, so.
And so that's some of the things I guess, Michelle, you'll be able to do is look that up to try to see what best fits.
And basically compile it and just give it back to us, the little chew on that some more.
So I want to get this straight. So the only thing that the state sets is 500 feet from a school. So when you're saying 1,000 feet from a church, that's because Washington County has passed that, right? Or is that a state?
The city.
The city of
Did you say
Chipley.
1,000 feet? from
Well,
the
the way our ordinance is currently written, it shows 1,000 feet from churches, schools, and public parks.
And that was, when was that? How long has that been in effect?
No idea. I just-
forever.
It should be.
It says there might be a date on here, it says 4/11/00. I'm guessing.
So you have the discretion to say, we're going to change it to 200 feet. Or we're going to make it so you can be 2,000 feet. You have that
We
discretion.
have the discretion on everything but schools.
But the school's at 500. Okay.
And I'm not sure how the state measures that.
Yeah.
Easy enough to find out. I don't know if it's property line to property line or structure to structure.
So when you gave her your ideas and thoughts, did you think a change in the distance?
No, I did not ask for a change. I just said that was what's listed now. Those were the areas I wanted to discuss. For her to get whatever ideas she gets from other council members so that we can compile them all together and have a meeting to discuss everybody's ideas. And that's all.
And so from my standpoint, one of the action items was the distance from similar establishment. And my question is, let's see what the validity of that, if it even means anything, it's something that we need to omit altogether, so kind of do a workaround, to work around this one ordinance. What's the value of it? What's the interpretation? And how does it play a part in what we need to accomplish? And so that was just one.
Yeah,
one
and I
example of
had a
how we
similar
do
question
research that,
because
Because
the distance to similar
it's a
establishments.
similar establishment, why was it even written in there? I mean, the interpretation is, I think, is the biggest thing.
But
It does specify private clubs and bottle clubs, so that's, if you did not have that, and we're talking basically about trying to revitalize downtown and open up the corridor out there by 77 and I-10, bottle club, you could end up, if you take that out, not that I'm sure against this, but you could end up with a string of biker bars downtown.
Well,
If you don't have 500-foot distance, but that's strictly bottle clubs and private clubs, that's not restaurants or something, that's just strictly similar establishments like that are restricted to bottle and private clubs.
my understanding was that restaurants were excluded.
Yes. Yeah, and that was the other provision I was looking at, was excluding restaurants from the, and
Well, it's fine right now.
Because I don't know about the ball club manager joint to say that, because, I mean, you can actually go to like the National Guard or they go to the ball.
yeah.
Well,
Is that considered a ball club?
Yes, well, they're defined from the,
That's never one.
So let's, so,
I personally think we need to take this discussion that we're on and come up with some recommendations on the change on our times and the system. Instead of asking about everybody to the decision.
yeah, well, that's where we are tonight, is just throwing our ideas back to Michelle, let her compile it so that we can have a special meeting on this once we get all of our ducks in a row.
So what we are doing is giving in the ordinance, giving it to the attorney for clarification, right? So she can-
clarification, maybe not, but simply into what the council wants. And we have asked the public for input so we can formulate, as Mr. Butler said, you know, what we want to recommend, Ms. Jordan, to put into the new ordinance.
So our assignment tonight coming in was to do your homework and to write down as a council member some things that you would like to see with the ordinance. And so let her take our list and she go and compile and do the magic and then come back with us, her findings and all of that good stuff.
Ms. Brown?
We're not voting this time.
We're not voting.
No, she's just
Is it
getting a
mine?
list from all of us that, and I guess she's gonna come back and say, okay, out of the 4 council members, 3 of them want to do away with the similar establishments where we had one person that wanted to keep it, that sort of thing. Just a compiling of information. is all
Okay,
we're at right
wait,
now.
hold it. Wait a minute, why y'all gotta write it individually? Y'all supposed to be a team. Why you gotta put on your individual? Why can't y'all get together and discuss it?
Because you can only do that in a public forum. If I meet with Tommy and start talking to him privately, we're breaking the sunshine.
That's not what I said. I said as a team, as the board, as the city council.
They have to be in a meeting.
And that's what we're doing, really, that's why we've got it on the agenda tonight, to discuss it, and,
That's the ultimate goal.
That's all.
Yeah, we're looking to probably have, I guess, a special workshop to discuss this out. We're just collecting our individual thoughts. We're gonna compile them all together and discuss it at a public meeting. That's the ultimate goal here, is for us to talk about it all out in the open.
If you tell the public to have it, any advice, we're welcome.
Yeah, it's open for comments. and
Open up.
Is it
suggestions.
my understanding that last meeting, workshop, that it was accepted that the restaurant serving alcoholic beverages were going to be allowed? Now that the final discussion tonight is, I think as Councilwoman Andrews said, each of you had an assignment to put together your concerns to present to the attorney for her to review, and then you all meet, and then at a next meeting, there'll be a public forum to discuss what you all decided upon.
hopefully at
Is
the
that
next workshop, she will have a draft copy of the ordinance
Yes.
for us to review.
So tonight, there's really nothing else to discuss because you all have.
Yeah, it's just collecting our separate thoughts into a pile.
Yes, that's, so you just got to kind of hand those to her.
We
She's
try
gonna
to
take
get the
it.
ball rolling, basically.
Isn't what that would,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, this last week we established that it's gonna be allowed. And then tonight, you all are gonna turn in your homework assignment, so to speak, to her. And then, at some point, you will come back to us with a proposal, so to speak. So all those ideas you all have now will be written on paper and given to her. Because we already know that there's no clear verbiage. That's clear. So I think the more we talk about it, the more unclear verbiage we're gonna get. You know, so I would suggest that you do turn in your assignments to her, that let her do her hard job, she would be more than glad to do.
That was our goal.
Close this until the next meeting, because otherwise it's
Yes,
just a
ma'am.
conversation.
I saw another hand. Ms. Jane?
Do you have just a plain, simple list of what the city ordinances are now? So when we come to another meeting, we know what we're talking about. I hear you mumbling, no, sorry, it's not my hearing this time. But I hear you talk about it, and we don't know what the ordinances are now. And what are the county ordinances? Why can't the city and the county work together? So that when people drive under the overpass, the rules don't change.
Is there a plain and simple list? I would venture to say, not really.
Well, then why can't we make a plain
But
and
the
simple
ordinance
list?
That's open to personal interpretation. What I may think is a list may not be what Tommy
If
thinks is
council
a
would
list.
like for me to, I can make copies of what was put in the packet.
Yes.
It's on the website, but to make it more accessible to anybody who does not have website access, I
Yes.
can make copies for anybody who would like to stay around a few minutes and I can get that to
I mean, people would like to come and discuss this, but we don't know what we're discussing. We don't know if it's 1,000.
Well, she's gonna provide you with a hard copy if you
Yes.
need it, or you can go out online and retrieve an
Hard
electronic copy.
copy, Patty, would be wonderful. Thank
Look
you.
at the orders them.
There's been some changes over time, so there's, I'm gonna print the entire code for that section as well as a copy of the county ordinance that was in the packet, so I'll have those right after.
But that information is readily available on our website, online. The same
Well, that's
information
why I
that
asked
we're looking
ordinance them
at
right
is out there.
Actually, if you go to our website at www.cityofchipley.com and you go to how to up in the top right corner and you click on the button, our Municode, our code of ordinances is there. You click on the code of ordinances and Municode will come up with all of our city code, all city laws. And you can search, you can put in alcohol and it'll pull up everything pertaining to alcohol. You can put in anything that you wish to search for at that location and it will give you that information. And it'll also identify at the end of paragraphs, the ordinance numbers. So if you ever were, wanted to see the actual ordinance, which is going to be the exact same information, just in a different format, then you could contact us and we can get copies of that.
I just have a question. I moved here over 20 years ago, and I've never heard of dry county. What is the purpose of a dry county? Why? What is the purpose of being a dry county? Can you please tell me? Is
Well-
it to keep, people from getting drunk? Become alcoholics?
The purpose of the dry county is
Well, yeah.
But no, listen, I just want to know, because I've never heard of dry county, why would a county become a dry county? And I just want you to, is it keep bars
really
on?
can't.
The easiest thing is to say, I guess at one time, all
Yes.
prohibition, all the counties
We've
were
never
dry,
tried
state
since
dry.
prohibition.
And as the years went
Why did we
on,
stay?
some cities, counties went wet and, we're still dry. And it's a voters issue.
And just to clarify, the wet-dry issue
Right.
has to be settled by a countywide referendum. What we're doing here really has nothing to do with the wet-dry issue.
Absolutely. So what, you have to come up to vote, is what you're saying. When's it supposed to come up again?
It doesn't happen that way.
It doesn't happen that way?
No. The county commissioners can direct the election to take place, or you can have a petition circulated by a certain percentage of voters in the county to petition the county commission to call for the referendum. And that can only happen once every 2 years, I believe. And I don't know when that happened last.
It's been more than 2 years. It's been a while. Any other comments? Sir?
Yeah, when you guys are doing some of your brainstorming for finding out what we could do, consider a provisional ordinance. Because if a person wishes to come in like that gentleman who was there at the workshop, wishes to buy the property under the pretenses that he may be able to serve alcohol or beer and wine at his restaurant, you may need to have something like that in case it does happen. It's called a provisional ordinance. It's strictly upon provision of.
Yeah. Okay, if that's all, Ms. Biddle?
I just wanted to give a quick update, a recap on the Easter egg hunt. First of all, I want to thank council for allowing me to do it again this year. I had around 20 vendors out on the park area, inside the park, and we had more kids this year than we had last year. And the Lord blessed us with some great weather. So we had an excellent Easter egg hunt, and to my knowledge, we have any complaints, and we're ready to do it next year.
Do you have a count? Maybe how many children
It's
were
hard to
there?
get a count of the kids.
I was there, so.
And we advertised it for ages newborn to,
How many hot dogs do we give out?
I think 5 departments go 400 hot dogs. And they got those. I ordered 14 large pizzas. We cut those in 14 slices.
they were gone in 15 minutes. So, and we had popcorn, nachos, potato chips, all the food was gone for my dog. So the kids come hungry, and we do it for an hour and a half, so.
Well, it was standing room only
It was
when I was
standing
there,
room
so.
But the weather was nice, so that made it, worthwhile. So I just want to thank y'all for good.
Thanks for doing it.
Thank you for that.
We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions or comments from the council? Then this meeting is adjourned.